It's going to be a tight race between these two as the year dwindles down. Definitely two of the greatest players of all time.
Would you fall for me like I fall for you?
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of NBA Now. It's your boy Dom, and we're gonna get right into things here today. So today, we're talking about the NBA MVP. We're talking about that again. I know I made a video about this a little over a month ago, but as that video is kind of continuing to get more traction, and as we're headed into the new year, and hopefully 2022 is a good year for everybody. But as we're headed into the new year, I figured I'd update it. Because a lot has changed, in my opinion, in the MVP talk in the last month, and there's some people that were there that aren't there at all anymore. There are some people that have risen to get in the conversation, and then there's still some people that are continuing to make their case. And so, yeah, that's what we're doing today. If you guys haven't seen my original ranking, make sure you guys go check that out. It is on my channel already, and it should be linked in a playlist with this as well. But as for right now, my full list will be at the end or towards the end of the video, just like I did last time, and we're gonna get right into things. So, this is my top 5, and so for number 5, well, I guess there isn't really a number 5. It's kind of pick and choose who you want at number 5. I don't think at this point, I think it's a 4-person race, and so at number 5, whether you want to say it's like a LeBron, that he'll get his name in the conversation as the year continues, as he seems to always do. Whether you want to say it's a Jimmy Butler, maybe you want to say it's a DeMar DeRozan. There's plenty of guys that you could throw for number 5. Maybe you want to say it's a Chris Paul. Shoot, maybe you even want to say it's a Donovan Mitchell or a John Morant or something like that. Or Paul George. There's plenty of guys that could be that number 5 spot, and I don't think any of them definitively have it. If I had to give it to one at this point, I guess it would be DeMar. So I guess that's who I would have as my 5. But really, it's a 4-man race, I think, at this point. And number 4, I think, is going to surprise a lot of you from me because of the team I like, and that is Nikola Jokic. Obviously, I'm a Nuggets fan and everything like that, but I think with the Nuggets being right now a clear 5th seed or lower, just due to the separation that the Grizzlies and Jazz and Suns and Warriors have from the rest of the Western Conference, at this point, the Nuggets' height really is the 5 seed that you can see. Now, things can change, and obviously, we'll have to wait and see, but I would guarantee that with the way that other people are presenting themselves to try and win this award, that Jokic not being a top 2 or 3 seed will not result in him winning in this award. I think him being at 4 pretty much writes him off of the award, but he's still having a phenomenal year. I mean, he's doing stuff that's never been done before. I'm pretty sure he has the best PER of all time right now, and he's just absolutely carrying my entire roster. I mean, doesn't matter if we're signing Davon Reed or, you know, whoever out of the G League and whatever, with all the protocols and everything that's going on. When Jokic is on the court, no matter who else is out there with him, we have an opportunity to win. So regardless of all the injuries and everything, like Jamal not being back until later in the year, MPJ being done for the year, Jokic has just played phenomenal no matter what. So I think he clearly deserves number 4, and it's no question in my opinion. Now, number 3 is something, because originally I was going to have Jokic at 3, but when I was looking at this, it was hard for me to not put somebody above him. So, if we go look at Jokic's stats real quick, like I said, he's having a phenomenal year. He's averaging almost 26 points per game, almost 14 rebounds, and over 7 assists per game. And then if you look at the guy that I have at number 3, he's a guy that I was sleeping on when I was thinking about the MVP, and it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Antetokounmpo, whatever, however the fuck you say his name. It's Giannis, alright? Anyways, Giannis is averaging 27, 11.5, and almost 6 assists per game. And when him and his other 2 stars play, they don't lose for the Milwaukee Bucks. And, you know, he's really making a case that he deserves yet another MVP. Earlier in the season, when I made that first video, the Nuggets and the Bucks were not doing that hot. But the Bucks have catapulted themselves into the 3rd seed at this point and look to only be rising. And Giannis, just with his play and his continued dominance, is going to be in that conversation still. I think there's no way you can't have him in the conversation. I think voting fatigue drops him a little bit due to the fact he's won multiple MVPs in the last few years. And so for him to win it again, I think is more difficult than even for Jokic to win it again, because for Jokic it'd be going back to back. When you're talking if they have the right seeding and everything in place. But he's a higher seed than Jokic. He's 3rd seed. Like I said, it looks like they're only going up. They just come off an NBA Finals win, so that should help with some of that voting fatigue. And I don't know what else to say about Giannis. He's one of, if not the best two-way player in the game. He can block the shot. He can dunk it. He's improved his three-point ability. And he's just playing lights out this year, especially as of more recently. And when you look at this Bucks team, like, it doesn't, like, a lot of guys are underperforming, right? A guy in like Brook Lopez is underperforming from what we expected him to be. And so Giannis truly is, in my opinion, taking on more of a load, especially with protocols and everything like that, forcing other people not to play. And so kind of like how I said, like, he's improved some assets to his game, and he's just stepped up for them this year to help continue to lead them to winning basketball games and get them back on track. So Giannis, clear-cut number 3 for me at this point in the season, and definitely deserves it. Now, this gets to the 1 and 2. And I think everybody still knows my 1 and 2 and how close it is for me. If you saw the last video, yeah, it's clearly Curry or KD. Right? It's clearly one of the two guys. It's who do you have winning it. And I think a lot of people will be shocked by my answer. But my answer right now is Kevin Durant. My answer right now for number 1 is Kevin Durant, putting Steph Curry as my number 2. And the reason Steph Curry is my number 2, if we look at him, he started off the season phenomenal. Right? He looked like he was playing the best basketball of his career. He looked like the Warriors were unstoppable. I mean, they're still the number 1 seed, but he was doing everything and then more, right? But he's cooled down a little bit. Now, he's still averaging almost 28, 5, and 6. But just, he's cooled down a little bit. He doesn't, when you look at him, feel that he is playing on a god status, which is what it felt like for the first bit of the season. It felt like he was unstoppable. It felt like the Warriors were unstoppable. It felt like they didn't even maybe need Klay to ever come back, because they were playing such good basketball. And they've continued to play good basketball. They've lost a little bit more as of recently. And they are, instead of like a 1-loss, 2-loss team now, they're up to 6 losses. They're a little bit more fitting in with the rest of the league. And a lot of that came with Curry chasing the 3-point record. And that's a feat that I think we all need to still try and wrap our heads around, because it's insane that it's only going to grow. I mean, if that record is ever touchable again, I would be shocked, especially in my lifetime. But that is what Ray Allen thought about his record originally. So I guess we'll never know. Anyways, though, Curry, he's dwindled down a little bit. His three-point percentage is down to just under 40% on almost 14 three-pointers per game, which is wild. So yeah, I mean, his percentages have dropped. His field goal percentage is down to 43%, which currently would put him at a career low by a significant standard. Oh, no, I'm sorry. His 2019-2020 is technically his career low at 40%. But are we really counting 5 games? Anyways, yeah, so it pretty much puts him at a career low shooting-wise there. And from three-point, it puts him at a career low other than that season as well, again, by over 2%. So you saw how much that record mattered to him and everything like that, and how much he was trying for it. And it's hurt his case for MVP, I think, at this point, especially with the more losses that the Warriors have accumulated. But if he kind of gets his stuff back together, I think he can easily rise back to number 1. I think him having broken that record this year. I think them having bounced back into the playoffs and done so well, like they might go from not being in the playoffs to being the number 1 seed in the whole league, definitely does a lot for him in this case. So he's got the narrative. He's going to need to bring his percentages back up. He's already got the stats other than that, and I think he can rise back to that number 1. But at this point, the Nets would not be what they are without Kevin Durant, right? And that's why Kevin Durant has to be number 1. And obviously the Warriors wouldn't be either, but Kevin Durant, for a large stretch of games recently, had to be dropping 50 points in order for them to sniff out a win against, like, the Detroit Pistons. Like, the entire franchise was on his back, and he stepped up, and he just accomplished what they needed, right? And so I think that's why he's moved into my number 1 spot. He's a guy that's averaging almost 30 points per game. Obviously, we know what kind of scorer he is, all-time scorer. Almost 8 rebounds and almost 6 assists per game. But yeah, he's playing great offensively. He is seemingly unstoppable. And he is one of those rare stars that actually try on the defensive end. Now he's not, I don't think, what he was back when he was in the Warrior system defensively. I think there was his peak defensively. But I do expect him to slow down, and I would potentially could see this flip-flop one more time here in the next year. But for right now, I think if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's the clear-cut MVP. And if he keeps having to drop 50 bombs like he's been, he'll easily get his points per game over 30, which I think is a big mark, because the difference between averaging 29.7 and 31, 32 points per game is pretty significant to the eye when you're reading it alone. Plus, all the outstanding performances that he's continued to have for the year. And if he can keep the Nets in that 1 seed and kind of hold off of, the Bulls getting their stuff back together, as maybe protocols slow down a little bit more, as there are the new rules where I believe it's 5-day quarantine or whatever, or the Bucks continue to do their thing. If he can kind of hold off that 1 seed, it's going to be a tight race between these two as the year dwindles down. Definitely two of the greatest players of all time. Two guys that their storylines for this award almost intertwine, as it's, what we saw Kevin Durant do in the last playoffs and how he was potentially a shoe size away from an NBA championship without the Golden State Warriors, and now what we're seeing with Steph and how well they're performing without Kevin Durant and all that. I think the storylines intertwine, and it's so difficult to give it to anybody else other than these two, even if Jokic looks like the best player in the league or Giannis just appears unstoppable night in and night out. These two have not only Curry breaking records and and Kevin Durant dropping 50 point games consecutively or constantly, but they've got that storyline that fully wraps them into this really 1-2 battle that I think we're going to continue to see flip-flop as the rest of the year continues. Personally, it's super, super difficult for me to pick who I think will win it at the end. But if things keep going the way they are now, and Curry's percentages don't pop back up, where he would need to pretty much redo what he did to start the season for the rest of the year, and Kevin Durant continues to just go on this stretch of dominance once he gets back from protocols that he's been on, there's no way in my mind that Kevin Durant doesn't win it. And I think, it's funny because coming into this year, those were the two videos I made about MVP. It was, is Kevin Durant going to win it, or is it Stephen Curry going to win it? And then what ended up happening is that's really what the race has become. Now, as a Nuggets fan, I would love to see Jokic win it again. But that's going to take a lot of change record-wise for the Nuggets for that to happen. And for Giannis to win it, I think he'd have to clear-cut be the number 1 seed, overtaking Kevin Durant at the end, and having like a standout performance, right? If you're going to look at the end of the year, you can pick one of Kevin Durant's 50-point games and call that his MVP performance. For Steph Curry, you can pick when he broke the 3-point record or anything from the first month of play, and you can call that his MVP moment, right? But for Jokic and Giannis, they're, I think, not only going to have to top either of these two record-wise, but also have that MVP moment, that defining, yeah, I deserve it. Because Jokic isn't a popular pick to be picked for MVP, especially in the media, right? And so he'd have to have that game where it's just, you can tell, you know what I mean? And I see that happening more with a Kevin Durant or Steph Curry. But regardless, the full list here will be at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe for more. If you guys want to see what I thought again earlier in the season, obviously go check that video out. Or if you guys want to see what I thought before the season with those Steph Curry and Kevin Durant MVP videos, I will leave a link in the description to all 3 of those videos. So you guys can go check that out. Anyways, it's been your boy Dom. I appreciate everybody watching. And I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out, guys.